In this video, we're going to go through how to use Zapier to set up an automation between your e-commerce store and Synap. The automation is going to be a user purchasing a course or exam, that user then having an account generated in Synap and then being enrolled into that course or exam by being moved into the appropriate user group. There's going to be a few things you need to do before you get started. You need to make sure that There's going to be a few things that you need to do before you get started. You need to make sure that you've got your portal ID, organization secret key, and API key from Synap. You can speak to your account manager about getting these. You also need to make sure that you've been invited to the Synap beta. You also need to make sure that you've been invited to. There's going to be a few things that you need to do before you get started. You're going to need to make sure you've got your portal ID, organization secret key, and API key from Synap, as well as making sure that they've invited you to be able to view their custom triggers and actions. As long as you've got all of that, you can get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to click Create as App, and then we're going to enter into the trigger and search for our e-commerce store. In this example, we're using Shopify, and we're going to select that and then choose the appropriate event. In this case, it's going to be a new paid order. Once we've selected that, we're going to click Continue. If you haven't signed into your Shopify store or e-commerce store first, it's going to ask you to do that here. In Shopify's case, it just asks you for part of the URL. Other cases might want a different key or something like that. Once you've signed in there, you'll be able to just continue this step. In terms of the trigger, we're not going to change any settings here. You can set these to be quite custom if you need to be. In terms of the settings in the trigger, we're not going to change any settings in this example, but you can change the payment status, order status, and fulfillment status to make sure that the correct order is making its way through and it's being triggered here. The last step of this trigger is testing it. We can click the test trigger button here, and what this is going to do is it's going to look for any new paid orders. In this case, because it's just an example Shopify store, we don't have any, so we can skip the test. Once the test is skipped, it's just going to generate some. Once the test has been skipped, you can see it's populated. Once the test has been skipped, you can see that Shopify has generated some example data for use in this Zap. And we'll click Continue, and now we can search for the sign up actions. Enter sign up in the search box. Enter sign up in the search box, and click on the latest version. Once you've selected that, you can choose the event. In this example, we need to create the user first, so we're going to select that as the action. Click Continue. And now we can choose our account. If you don't have an account yet, you can sign. This is where it might enter. Now we need to choose our account. For most people, it's going to ask them to sign in here, and that's where you're going to need your org key, API key, and portal ID. Once you've entered those though, you can click Choose Account and select the account that you've signed up with. Let's click Continue. And now we can set the action up. So if we click on Name, we need to provide a name for our user. So if we click on Name, now we need to select a name for our user. For that, we're going to select the first name data and the last name data from our Shopify example data. Next, we need the email from that Shopify customer as well. And lastly, you have the option to enter a password. You don't have to, and if you don't enter a password, Synap will automatically generate one for that user. Once you're happy with everything, you can click Continue, and you can test this action. It's worth noting that testing this action will generate the user in your portal, and you may not want to do this, and if that's the case, just click Skip Test. We don't want to publish the test just yet, so what we want to do is we want to add another step. We're going to search for Synap, the latest version again, and because this user's purchased a course or an exam, we're going to add the user to the correct user group that has access to that course or exam. We shouldn't need to log in again, but if you do, just make sure you enter those credentials that you had from earlier. This action requires two bits of information, the user's email and a user group ID. We can start by taking the email from either the Shopify or the sign up action from earlier. And next, you need the user group ID. To find the user group ID, you can go into the user group that you want the user to be added to on sign up, and you should see in the top left corner a user group ID in a little grey box. Clicking this will copy it, and just make sure you enter it here. Once you've entered it, just click continue. You can see it's populated this little box with our example data that we're using. Testing the action will add that user to that particular group. And if you don't want to do that, you can skip the test. And that's it. Now you can publish that Zap, and any user that purchases a product on your website will be moved into a group.